Hello, welcome back to Fist Entertainment. Still in the same spot as I was in the same night, obviously. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark, but I didn't like how I had to look up like this because of the tripod, so I lowered it down to my level a little bit. So, our next review, of course, is, obviously, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom in 4K. This is the exclusive steelbook from Best Buy. Inside the steelbook, it's pretty good. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark, this is also arguably known as the best Indiana Jones film too, as well. Like I said, either your team Raiders or your team Temple. I, for one, can't crown one. Or can I now? Well, I probably can. But first, let's get the obvious stuff out of the way. This film has the ripping out of hearts, the cremation of living people in a fiery pit of hell. It has the consumption of bugs, eyes, and snakes. It also has a lot of violence, including taking a skish kebab on fire and throwing it into somebody's torso. So as well as voodoo magic. So, and people being grinded down in mechanisms. So honestly, I don't see why a parent will let their little child watch this movie without any supervision. So I do not approve this review for children. Get that obvious out of the way. Okay. Plot of the movie. This is where it gets interesting. This film takes place in 1935. So it actually takes place 1 year before Raiders of the Lost Ark. So in the timeline of Indiana Jones films, this actually happens before Raiders of the Lost Ark. People really don't know that. Which is why he comes across more like a treasure hunter and not like a explorer like he does in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Alright. After being double-crossed by a client in which he found the cremated remains of the first emperor of China's Manchu dynasty, so in other words, a warlord emperor from a few hundred years ago or something. His clients tried to kill him and fell. And upon doing so, him as well as a Hollywood celebrity or some kind, so I remember her name, Willie. Yeah, Willie is her name. I don't know why she calls herself Willie. It's a stage name. As well as his little sidekick, who has the name of Short Round, who's a little 7, maybe 9-year-old Shanghai kid, who Steven Spielberg actually used is one of the main characters in The Goonies as well, I might add. The same child actor. They get stranded in India. It doesn't tell you exactly where in India, but it's definitely not Nepal or anything like that, so it's definitely We're out in like the jungle parts of India. No man's land of India. The Indiana Jones basically is convinced from the indigenous locals to go ahead and go to this palace to try to track down a mythical rock that was stolen from them that has plagued their village. And also rescue all of the village's children who were kidnapped from dictators that happened to be in this palace. And prove or disprove if the foggy cult of the ancient Hindu beliefs, a radical Hindu cult that would worship the Hindu god through human sacrifice. And upon doing so, he discovers to Hooters that all of this is real and that the foggy cult is back. And they have required 3 of the stones. They're trying to find the other 2. And Indiana Jones himself becomes subject to mind manipulation and voodoo magic when he gets zombified. And then eventually succumbs to get back to being his normal self and saving the day. But there's a lot of pretty crazy stuff in this movie. And eventually he gets the stone, returns it to the village, rescues all the children, and pretty much takes down the foggy cult with the help of the English. But yeah, this one is much more of a horror movie than it is a science fiction, fantasy adventure action movie. This one is more horrifying and terrorizing than all the other Indiana Jones films. But it also has that big amount of science fiction, mythicism, and action adventure, which is the reason why I would put Temple of Doom as the definitive one. Because it capitalizes on what Raiders did so well and takes it to new heights. And so I'm crowning Temple of Doom. And I just watched all 4 of these films last week. So it's been a very long week. That's why I didn't review them right after watching them. My job is definitely not the easiest in the world. Especially since I'm the lead employee at it. And I get paid lots and lots of money for it. And we're not talking about me. Quality. This one is a little bit better than Raiders of the Lost Ark in quality. Keep in mind, like the first film and the 2 films come after this, these were supervised by Steven Spielberg himself, as well as Lucasfilm Corporation. These were really actually taken through a Dolby Vision plus Dolby Atmos, Dolby Cinema presentation, contain a brand new Dolby Atmos tracks in brand new 4K DI, digital intermediates. So this is the best you're ever going to get. And with each film, it gets better. But that makes sense. This one would be a little bit better than Raiders. It is, after all, 2 years newer than Raiders. This one's a lot more colorful. We would think it wouldn't be. You really think it wouldn't be. But there are certain points in the film where they have use of fire, use of flames and glowing diamonds within rocks and stuff like that really makes the bright color spectrums really pop out. And this has beautiful, wonderful use of black levels in this movie. One thing that's always been weird about every subsequent digital release of Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom is it's always been very dim because the film is very dark. Most of it is a dark filmed movie. Light has been shed on the situation due to good black levels. So again, these are Dolby Vision 4K DIs on all 4 of these films, but this does and should make very good use of an HDR10 display, and should surprise a lot. As for the Dolby Atmos, it's better than Raiders. And what makes it better is there's more overhead effects than there is in Raiders, but it's still pretty staticky. But one thing I like about my system, and I hope that you guys have the same way, is I have correct configuration and correct alignment on where to place the speakers. And so when things are to the left or the right, it really shows up because the speakers are where they're supposed to be. And the same thing can be said about overheads with me. And so whether there's not a lot of overhead effects are there, but they're kind of, blended in, it doesn't matter much to me. But I do see what people are talking about when it comes to Raiders as well as this one. But I can say there's a lot more effects that go on overhead, and what I'm looking at right now is actually the overhead speakers. So I'm actually sitting in the cinema itself right now, watching a movie, I might not, but I can talk to you guys too. So yeah, Dolby Atmos is definitely a kick-up, but it is a very blended sound source track and more front-heavy bass, just like Raiders of the Lost Ark is. And that's all there's to say about Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time for my review of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And oh yeah, aspect ratio for Indiana Jones in Temple of Doom is 2.35.1 widescreen format. I did forget to mention that. Until next time.